Ancient China's dynasties. I'm going to give you a little bit of background knowledge before we come into class and we dive a little bit deeper and research more on these dynasties. So first things first, what is a dynasty? It is a form of government where a line of hereditary rulers govern a country. So basically it's more like a family bloodline ruling one after another. The Qin dynasty. Yes, it is pronounced Qin. The first dynasty and the first emperor to declare himself so, Shi Huangdi. He would boast that his dynasty would last for 10,000 years, but instead it only lasted for 2 generations, roughly about 15 years. Why is that? Before the dynasty, China was divided into 7 kingdoms, and Shi Huangdi wanted to unify these kingdoms. He sought to strengthen China through strong and harsh rule. He put down rebellions, he put farmers to work by building roads, which resulted in easier and faster travel. He wanted one economy and one culture. From right here, from our past ancient civilizations, what kind of ruler does he sound like to you? And also, did you think having one economy and one culture was such a bad thing, or was it a good thing? Let's find out.
The Qin dynasty from 221 to 206 BC is considered China's first dynasty. Although China did have 3 ancient dynasties, the Xia, Shang, and Zhou, the Qin ruler was the first to declare himself an emperor. He unified all of China after centuries of division and ruled over an estimated population of 20 million people. Now, despite its glory, the Qin was a brutal and short-lived dynasty. Emperor Qin's objective was to rule all under heaven. He did this through military campaigns and a state philosophy of legalism, or the idea that misbehavior was met with harsh punishment in order to keep the populace in line. The original state of Qin was located in the western area of what was China at the time. It was a royal domain allocated for raising horses. It then became one of the 7 warring states after the ancient Zhou dynasty split up. The young king of Qin started his assault on other states in the year 230 BC, and by 221 BC he had defeated all 6, unifying China. He then sought to solidify this unification through a unification of culture. Qin unified the currency, weights and measures, Chinese characters, and even the width of roads across the whole empire. But Emperor Qin was not popular among the people. His compulsory public works projects and heavy taxation put a heavy burden on the populace. The Qin emperor ordered the burning of all books on alternative philosophies other than the one used by the Qin government. He then buried alive 460 people who violated this rule. His heavily centralized power structure also angered the nobility, whose power was weakened. In 210 BC, the emperor died, and his successor found himself faced with revolts. In 206 BC, a group of rebels led by Lieutenant Liu Bang succeeded in toppling the Qin. Liu Bang established the Han dynasty, which would last for 4 centuries. Although it lasted only 17 years and inflicted great suffering on the populace, the Qin dynasty left behind a legacy. The first Great Wall of China was built during the Qin to protect the country from invasions from the north. After the Qin emperor died, he was buried in a massive complex of tombs. In 1974, Chinese farmers dug up some parts of a terracotta statue. This led to the discovery of 7,000 terracotta warriors that had been buried with the emperor to protect him in the afterlife. But what is more is that the Qin sowed the seeds of unification, leading to later periods of prosperity and stability during the great dynasties that followed. We'll tell you more about one of those, the Han dynasty, next time.
Before we go into the Han dynasty, let's talk a little bit about the other dynasties. The Shang dynasty. The first king, Tang, worked for the people instead of for his own desires, thus becoming a role model to his successors. The Shang used all bronze weaponry. Bone workshops were popular among the wealthy. Objects were created from bone for ceremonial or decorative purposes. Then the Zhou dynasty. Zhou dynasty is broken into 2 time periods. The Western, with 1046 to 771 BCE, and the Eastern, 770 BC to 256 BCE. The dynasty thrived on the arts and was known for encouraging art and culture. They made beautiful bronze ornaments and other bronze goods. They made artworks out of jade and pottery as well. Great philosophers like Confucius and Laozi grew up in the Zhou dynasty. Now on to the Han dynasty. The Han dynasty lasted from 206 BCE to 220 AD. A rebel named Liu Bang, who helped overthrow the Qin dynasty, then became the emperor of a new dynasty. He created a less harsh but stable government. Han rulers realized they needed educated people to work in the government. After Liu came Wudi, Liu Bang's great-grandson.
The Han dynasty began in 206 BC when a man named Liu Bang, who had been born a peasant, led a group of generals to overthrow the Qin dynasty. This started a 400-year period of prosperity, sometimes referred to as China's first golden age. The capital of the dynasty was at Chang'an, and at the time it was one of the biggest cities in the world. The Han dynasty saw massive territorial expansion, with China's area almost doubling. The Han defeated the tribes to the north and signed treaties with the clans to the west. This made travel safer and led to the establishment of what became known as the Silk Road. This was the trade route connecting China with the Roman Empire, thousands of miles away in Europe. The Han also saw massive cultural developments, with Confucianism, which had been suppressed under the Qin, rising to become the state philosophy of China's aristocracy. Officials were evaluated on their conduct according to the Confucian values, and an imperial university was established to train them. It was also during the Han period that Buddhism spread to China from India. Buddhism's emphasis on compassion and universal salvation appealed to the masses. Along with Confucianism and Taoism, Buddhism became one of China's three main religions that would dominate the faith of the Chinese people for the next 2,000 years. The Han dynasty gave rise to some of China's most well-known historical figures, such as Sima Qian, who wrote the record of the Grand Historian, the definitive record of China's early history, and also Han Xin, the general who helped Liu Bang establish the Han dynasty. The Han dynasty was briefly interrupted in the year 9 AD, when the nephew of the empress, Wang Mang, seized the throne. 14 years later, Liu Xiu, a descendant of Liu Bang, eventually toppled him, and the Han dynasty, with 12 more emperors, continued for another 200 years. But like all dynasties in Chinese history, the Han could not last forever. It officially ended in the year 220 AD. Trouble at court and uprisings across the empire led to its eventual downfall. The warlord Dong Zhuo led troops into the capital, kick-starting the battles between various warlords. Eventually, Cao Cao managed to establish the Wei state north of the Yangtze River. Sun Quan established the Wu state to the south of the Yangtze, and Liu Bei the Shu state in the west, starting the period known as the Three Kingdoms.
Alright, and that's it. Please come to class with any questions and try to think up some research questions that you'd like to learn to dive more deeper about these dynasties.